Hello and welcome!
Yes, welcome to part 2 of our super special
CBA refresher course with the wonderful super special guest. Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go. No introduction needed. We know who's coming.
It's...
Ta-da!
Hi, Sue!
Yeah. Hi!
Hello again. Thank you for joining us.
For the part 2 of the CBA refresher course.
Yes, let's go.
So we left you last time with I think we just finished the balloon flower. So we hope you guys have been practicing.
Yeah.
Those balloon flowers and the garland. And so you've got no excuses anymore. It's there. You've got it sorted.
In the bag.
In the bag.
You've got your photographs. You've got your column. You've got your flower.
You've got your job cost forms.
Perfect. What's next?
What is next?
Wow, yes.
Let's have a look.
See what we've got.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
So this is the one that has presented a few challenges for people because there are some techniques in here that you may not use on a regular basis. So when we taught this at the World Balloon Convention, I think people really appreciated looking at all the different techniques and having a good refresher on them.
Yeah, so we're going to go through each technique one by one, and then we're going to show you a short video demonstrating exactly how it's done.
Okay, so we'll just literally list them. So how to make a 12 balloon topiary using 5-inch balloons. How to inflate an 11-inch balloon inside a 16-inch diamond clear balloon and finishing it off with a 5-inch balloon collar. How to make a 16-inch gumball with 3 5-inch balloons and 2 260Q balloons inside. How to inflate a geo blossom with 2 5-inch balloons through the center, and how to inflate a 22-inch bubble balloon. How to inflate microfoil balloons.
And lastly...
and how to inflate a 16-inch balloon inside a Deco bubble.
I think this is why everybody sees this one as the most tricky part out of the course, because it's got so many sections to it, because we provide a photograph, which you guys have to reproduce, but it has so many sections to it that people get kind of almost overwhelmed by the design.
Yeah, I think going into it, the initial thought is, oh, it's a copy bouquet, I can copy that, that'll be fine. Then they look at the picture, and like as you say, they're overwhelmed. Rather than breaking it down to each individual balloon and thinking about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because if you break them down into each element, it's much easier. I mean, we have the adage of how do you eat an elephant, and it's like one piece at a time. So you just take the whole job, you break it down into smaller sections, and you just keep on taking away at it, and don't look at the whole thing straight away, because it can be a little bit daunting.
Exactly. I mean, one of the things that I get commonly asked is, what balloon is this and what's it sized to? But we use what's in the picture. Pick a balloon that you know. Pick a reference in there. If there's an 18-inch foil or, a particular bubble that you know the size of, that you know is correct, then base everything off that. Then that's a known reference for you to actually get some information out of that photograph.
Yeah, definitely. And, if you think about it, as a CBA, you are on a referral list. And, we would expect if somebody wanted to use you from the other side of the country or even from the other side of the world, they would want you to be able to do all these different techniques without having, to think about it. So, there is a reason why we've included a lot of these techniques.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. That, I mean, just last week we had a referral come in for a particular bouquet. It's not our standard design. Nothing wrong with it. It was a great design. However, we needed to replicate that specifically to the photograph, because that's what the client's expecting. So having those skills to be able to replicate using key techniques is essential to having a good balloon business.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the time on the duplication of this bouquet, the part of it is the topiary. We often get where the topiary ball is completely oversized, but if you look at it in proportion to the rest of the elements in the design, you can completely see that it should be much smaller than what they've made it to. They're just looking at that piece, comparing it to the rest of it, they're just forgetting about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's what Sue had said in part 1 about here's some 11-inch balloons, but they don't need to be inflated to 11 inches. People see that here's some 5-inch balloons for the topiary, so make the assumption that it needs to be inflated to 5 inches, but it doesn't.
And the same applies to the collar and the balloons that go through the centre of the geoblossom. All those things, you have to think about proportion, because obviously that's one of the things that you're being judged on. And is it right to put 5-inch balloons inflated to 5 inches as a base for as a collar? And it's not. You don't use balloons inflated to 5 inches.
Exactly. Right, okay, so now that we've gone through the different techniques, let's go through the videos on showing you exactly how to go through it. So first of all, we're going to go through the balloon topiary, how to make that topiary ball.
We are. Let's throw that one up so everyone can see. Here we go. Yeah. 'Twas I that made the topiary.
It was you. And it was with goldenrod 5-inch balloons.
Yeah, so you'll find in the pack you'll get multicolours, and there is no specific pattern on how you need to position those. But, we do want a multicoloured one actually for the design. And you're just using 2 pumps there, aren't you?
Yeah, 2 strokes. It gets to just over 3.5 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as well, is that it's still a precise way of doing it, because he has that technique of doing it using the stroke count all the way from the bottom. But if you're not comfortable with using stroke counts, use a sizing box or use a sliding size.
Yeah.
Also, again, I'm using the patented non-smile CBA face.
So you make your topiary slightly differently. Sorry.
No, go Sue.
I was just saying you make yours slightly differently from me, but this is a really cool technique. I like it very much.
Yeah, it's done with 2 sets of 6s and then turn them into the flower shape, doing them back to back, and then you weave them together. We just find that it's a little bit easier on the balloons when you sew it together like this, because we find that when we do the topiary and you just keep pulling them through, we find that last one, you've either got to tie it a little bit loose or you've got to really pull it through. It really takes a lot of effort. This, it just sews itself together.
No, it's good.
But again, as previously said, Sue, though, it's there's a good way and there's a better way. It's whatever works best for you.
Yes.
We're not going to judge you on the technique. It's the end result, which is what's the interesting part.
I mean, as you said earlier, I've been working with balloons for a long, long, long time, and over the years, I've adopted techniques, and then I've seen somebody do something like you've just done there, and think, well, actually, that might work better for me. So then I'll start doing it that way, because I think, well, that's logical and I'll probably get a better result. So, it's as I say to all the time, you never stop learning, always. There's always some maybe better technique, or, it's not the right technique. It's a technique that works really well for you.
Yeah, I think we developed that technique when we were using 16-inch topiary. Necessity grew that one.
Yeah, it's one of these things as well, is that we always have this opinion of a closed mind gathers nothing. We like to try and keep our minds nice and open so that we're ready to learn at any point. We see delegates do things a different way and we think, oh my God, I can't believe that I never thought about it like that before. And then it makes us change.
Yeah, I think that was when we watched our first CBA video that revolution happened. A great learning curve. Okay, what have we got next in the list? It is...
Oh, yes. The next design that we're going to do is how to do the double bubble using latex balloons. So it's the 11-inch inside of the 16-inch, finished off with a 5-inch balloon collar. But remember, we're not going to inflate those 5-inch balloons necessarily to 5 inches.
I think this one particularly, Sue, throws a lot of people because we're so used to doing Deco bubbles now. That's, we use them predominantly in our business, and I know a lot of other people do. So we've come away from this technique a little bit. It's still a good technique and it still works for a lot of people. However, we're a bit rusty at times, simply because we don't use it so much.
No, I totally agree. And, the difficulty is that with a double bubble in latex, it it's very hard to high float that. Whereas with a double bubble in a bubble balloon, it's going to last a long, long time. So it's
Exactly.
as I said, things progress, but we still need to know how to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It might not be because the longevity for the customer; it's just the longevity for prep time for us, which is very good. So I think Keith got tasked with this one.
There we go.
See, he's got a CBA smile going on.
Absolutely. Look, I'm going to do the collar first. So again, it's just using 2 strokes on the Qualitex hand inflator, so they can size it to, it's just over 3.5 inches. But it is sized accurately, and it's nowhere near 5 inches.
And also that little squash down as well, keeping them nice and round so they look perfect.
And I like the way that you put a little twist in before you inflate the second balloon, because that will stop the air from escaping.
It just saves that pressure on your fingers though as well. Try to keep hold of that first balloon really tightly to stop the air coming out. Your fingers can almost go into cramps, so just being able to relax off that a little bit by having the twist in, let that twist do the work.
Yeah, you guys at home, if you want to figure out how much that twist means to you, if you take a balloon, especially an 11 inch or a 16 inch, and if you hold the air flat without it being tied, just hold it closed so the air doesn't come out, and then do a twist and just hold it with just your fingertips gently, and you'll find that it takes no pressure when you have that twist there.
So you've done the inside balloon, pushed it inside to the 16-inch diameter clear, then you've inflated the outside balloon to 14 inches using the template on the very best sizing box. And now you're going to inflate the inside 11-inch balloon, which then in turn will push that outside balloon to 16 inches. Now, what did you use to size that?
Yes, well, a lot of people don't realise that on the sizing box itself, although it's got a 14-inch sizer as the biggest hole, the box itself is just a tiny bit over 16 inches. So it means that I can put my hand on top of the box and use that as a sizing guide.
And I also noticed that you used your arm from your fingers to your elbow as your measure for your ribbon.
Yeah, because it's a handy sizing guide that I very rarely leave the house without. So it just means that I get standard size ribbons all the time, and we do it across the whole business. We all do them, so it means that people's arms don't change much between each other. So it means that we just have a standard way of getting the same size ribbons.
But if you come for a job with us, we will measure your arm.
But what you also did is that you put a lovely curl into that ribbon, a nice soft curl,
yes,
which is something that we will also look at, because the actual tail of the ribbon is part of the design. It's what we call the visual line. And if you suddenly just put a really tight curl into that, it completely ruins the visual line and the flow. And it's a big
totally
thing.
Agree.
It really is. Yeah.
Well, that tighter curl just pulls too much attention to it, because it's concentrating your eye to that point, which is not really where we want to be putting the extra focus. It's
no, your eye wants to follow that nice soft curl
exactly.
up to the main part of the design. So as we've taught out many times, it's nice soft curls.
Agree.
Right. Okay. So that was an excellent double bubble. So we now have another one, which is the 16-inch again.
Okay. The gumball with 3 5-inch balloons and 2 260s inside. Now, before we start this video, I just want to put it out there, because I did this video, that I haven't done gumballs.
Any work for months.
No, I haven't done gumballs in latex balloons like this without a special tool like the Common Insider tool or something for a long, long time. And I thought I would just go at it and give it a go.
Let's just say, Q Corner viewers, this is a secret we'll keep between us.
Come a little bit this further. You're further bit off camera. No, I see you would have been hidden.
This wasn't the first take.
Okay, so the thing is that on this, the tricky bit that I found was the 260s, and if I was doing this in a Deco bubble, I would do this completely different, and it would have been fine because I do them all the time. But because it was done in a latex balloon, it was slightly different. So what I did was we rethought the situation and went, you know what, this is how we're going to approach it, and we'll see on the video.
And in fairness, it's exactly how I would have approached it, and that's why I laughed when we did it. However, we've now, quickly learned from our mistake. So here we go. And this one.
So we have our two 260s. Now, normally I would put them in later, but we're going to put them in straight away. And I've folded them up and put them inside the uninflated balloon.
But together, though, as well. You do both at the same time.
And then it means I can give them a bit of a shake and still have the necks hanging out of the top.
Again, here we're using a simple inflator, because generally in your exam you won't have anything fancy. So we went old school.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm putting the adapter on the top so that I can inflate the 260Qs.
I'd like to note, though, now that Keith now included my CBA stern face.
Yeah, things got serious real quick. Because I was looking at it, and 260s inflate with helium so quickly. And I mean so quickly, it's very easy for them to burst. So you've got to pay close attention to what you're doing. And then,
almost a smile.
Almost. Oh, not yet. Wait until the end. There's a relief smile at the end. So I'm just trimming off the necks as I go, because I like to try and keep things nice and easy, even though that's not part of the exam on that side.
I think so on this one we should have had thought bubbles that came out of his head.
Oh, look, I am smiling. Yeah, look.
But, you're absolutely right here, Keith. So many people get very, very concerned on the actual assessment about doing this procedure, because it's not something that we do very regularly. I have a little tip here that I'll note, that when we do this technique, we obviously need to have helium inside the balloons inside the balloon and helium in the 16-inch balloon. However, because we're not doing this on a regular basis, there is a good chance that you're going to lose a lot of that helium in the 16-inch balloon as you go. So my little tip is that you actually use air in the 16-inch whilst you're putting the other balloons inside. And it doesn't matter then how many times you top it up. But the balloons inside must still be filled with helium. Once you've got all the balloons inside, look, you're smiling now. This is good.
I'm on the home stretch.
But seriously, once you've got all the balloons inside, you can let the air out and replace it with helium. And, I think that will take a lot of the stress off you during any time you do this, actually. But obviously during the assessment, it's definitely a good tip. And we can't really, in this day and age, afford to waste helium.
Especially if you want to practice this technique. Because I know a lot of people going into the exam when they're doing it are frustrated because they've got the nerves. They haven't practiced this particular one, and it just gets frustrating because it's not going right. Look at that. Here we go.
Last 5-inch going in.
But yes, it's, as you say, using high pressure helium, you can't control it so easily on those particular valves. And yes, it gets a little bit concerning. So just learning that, I would definitely recommend practicing this a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I often have it where I'm almost pushing up as much as I'm pushing down to kind of control the pressure the best I can.
So it's just tying off that last one. This is again, I tied it off using the last balloon from the inside, and I do that standardly because of when I gumball Deco bubbles, I always use that last one to plug the gap at the end. This one, because it's latex, it didn't really need it, but again, it's just one of these things that becomes a habit, and you do it.
It is much easier to tie.
It is. So
yes, very good. Well
that was the gumball. That was the toughie out of them. So it's all downhill from here. Next, we're going to show you how to inflate a geoblossom with the 2 5-inch balloons through the center.
Yeah.
Now, there's two different ways of kind of looking at it. Is you can try and tie the balloons through afterwards, or what we find easier is tie the two balloons through before inflation.
But I think the most common mistake that we've seen is the deformity of the inflation, that it's not fully inflated at the top, or looking at it from the side, it's wider because it's been overinflated at the bottom. See that quite a lot.
What do you think, Sue?
No, I think with the Geo Blossom, again, it's not a balloon that a lot of people are using on a regular basis. So again, there's a few concerns. I recommend that you pre-inflate the Geo Blossom so you get used to inflating it to the right shape. And you're going to show the correct technique on how to do that anyway. And
so you just mean with the air inflator or something, yeah?
Air inflate it first using your thumb, which you're going to show on the helium, just so people get used to controlling how to inflate that balloon correctly. Then let the air out and then re-inflate it with helium, and you'll get a good shape.
Okay, then let's throw this one up. Then let's have a look what we were talking about.
Let's see how Dom got on with the Geo Blossom.
Oh yes, I pulled the short straw for this one. But I like Geo Blossoms and the donuts.
I like Geo Blossoms because they're different. You don't see them very often, which it gives you another unique selling point. If you're using a balloon that other people are not using, it makes you different from your competitors.
So I've inflated these 5-inch balloons, but tied them separately first. And then tie them through the Geo Blossom. You wouldn't want to tie them first and forget.
Do you tie them tight?
Tie them loose.
You say that like it happened on an outtake, Dom, where you try to tie the two balloons together outside of the Geo Blossom.
You'd think.
Here you go.
You're a crazy person.
The way you're using your thumb, you're forcing the helium to the top of the balloon first, rather than overinflating that bottom chamber, which is quite a common mistake.
It is, yeah. It's a lot of people just let the gas inflate the bottom first, then try to force that top piece up, and it'll just never inflate properly. It just doesn't get the nice shape.
Hold it in your hand, let the top inflate first, and then let it pull its way out as it goes.
And additionally, as well, if you inflate it like that, I find there's a lot of manoeuvring with the balloon. It's soft enough that you can reshape and get the perfect shape out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, another easy one. But something that's not shown normally in the QBN, which is how to inflate a 22-inch bubble balloon.
Let me bring that one in for us to have a look at. Okay.
Yeah, so the bubbles were not part of the QBN process, so this is really important to watch this.
We love bubble balloons. It was a game changer for us when they came in, and it's still... Still now we do so many bubbles, it's unbelievable.
And this one's pre-valved, so you don't have to do any tying. But the common mistakes that we see is underinflation and overinflation.
And we want the Goldilocks effect. We want it just right. Bless you. So Dom's fully inflating, and he's pointing out the seams there because he's keeping an eye on them seams, and he wants to inflate until the seams are gone, but not overinflate it because that stretches out the balloon and it kind of weakens the design. Well, it's as simple as that.
And uses a lot of helium.
Yes, of course. And so for that one, you've got to remember, though, that you're going to be using a latex inflator or the bubble inflator as it's used.
Yeah.
But if you use a foil inflator, it's just not going to have the power to do it, the autofoil outlet.
No. So then the next one is to show the correct inflation and of a microfoil balloon.
Yeah, what we've also done in this video is we've shown how we do the roll-up method on the neck. Again, it's not always, it's not part of the curriculum, but it gives a far more professional finish.
It does. I'm loving it.
Oh, my favourite balloon. Yeah.
I think we were all like, yeah, we love that one. There's
the
reason why we pick it.
Yeah, it's also coincidentally Dom's IQ. But,
hey, 81. I'll take 81
so
over 18.
So you're using the foil outlet, which is obviously the one that we want you to use always.
Yep.
Which means it automatically stops when the balloon...
Such a simple fix, make sure you use the right inflator.
doesn't waste helium, and it doesn't damage the valve inside as well.
On a side note, I will say it's a challenge to hold the balloon at the right angle whilst tying it to show it to everybody. I hope everybody appreciates this.
I was just thinking that when I was watching it, you're actually laying it down to do it. Very, very difficult.
Yeah,
we thought about it afterwards about swapping it out for an air-filled one, just so that he can show how to tie it. But nah, professional, he can do it.
It's when you've got an idea but forget about the laws of physics.
Yes, you don't have to use that technique in terms of laying it down on your assessment.
I definitely recommend doing it where it's happy.
And then Dom's going to use the ribbons, and he's going to use that handy sizing guide to the elbow to trim off and give it a nice, soft curl.
And always follow the actual line of the curl as well, because I see some people trying to fight it and try and curl it in the opposite direction. And that all that does is straighten it and make it really tough to curl it.
Yeah, and you see them battling with it, then it ends up this dead piece of ribbon just looking very sad.
Definitely.
Yep, we've seen that.
So we've got our last thing to go over on this one, which is how to inflate a 16-inch balloon inside of a Deco bubble. So it's a double stuffed balloon.
Okay.
And this is a really cool technique. I love this because when you're personalizing balloons, it puts a back color behind it as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really nice technique.
You know, we love the double bubble, and that's great. But sometimes having that gap between the two balloons, you lose that definition of when you've got that print on the outside of the Deco bubble. You don't get that really strong
message.
The strong message. It hasn't got the effect that you're after. So it's such a really underused technique, I think.
So what we're doing here is we're going to put this... Oh, sorry, Sue.
No. I totally agree. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So what we've done here is we're putting the 16-inch under a balloon straw, and then I'm putting it into the 20-inch Deco bubble and avoiding to get any air in. That's what we're trying to avoid. So I've just pushed any air that did get in there, I've pushed it back out of the neck before I start inflating the 16-inch balloon by itself.
And I think what people might be concerned that the 16-inch balloon might pop inside a 20-inch Deco bubble. It's definitely not. The capacity of a 20-inch Deco bubble is equivalent to a 14-inch latex balloon. So there's a lot of extra latex there. So no worries about it popping.
There we go. See, easy as that. And you just tied off the 16-inch balloon by itself. Oh, I've lost the Sue now.
See, he was so blasé, not losing the Sue out of his ear. Then he threw across the room.
The super glue ran out.
I'm here.
Hi, Sue.
Hi, Sue.
So no, I think what you said at the beginning is really important. Take each one of these elements separately, practice them just to confirm your techniques and knowledge, and then on the day, just work through them methodically. The two that you're going to find a little bit more challenging than everything else is going to be your 16-inch gumball and the Geo Blossom, because it's not necessarily a balloon that you'll use every day. But, if you can practice the gumball using the air technique, as I said, but putting helium inside the other balloons just to get used to the pressure, you may not even need to completely inflate the 16-inch balloon afterwards in terms of practicing, but use the pressure of the helium when you are practicing, even with air inside the 16-inch. And then the Geo Blossom, pre-inflate it with air, get it to a nice shape using the thumb technique, and then re-inflating it with helium, so you'll get a nice shaped balloon.
Super, good tips.
Super. Okay, right. Here's another area that people can often lose points needlessly for as well.
Again, easy marks.
We need to make sure that we follow California law or smart balloon practices, otherwise you will lose points.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, you're going to bring them up, yeah?
Yeah.
I should hope you know them, Sue.
Oh, I know them.
Just to dwell on the first bit, though, the fact that it says California law, then we now have it says smart balloon practices. I think that's a very good thought. It's people say, hey, I'm not in California. Why do I need this law?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The Californian law is where it all started in terms of there being rules being brought into play, and the fact that balloons being released, particularly, or balloons with metallic ribbon, which is what we're talking about first of all here, cause many problems. Now we have problems potentially on a worldwide basis. So smart balloon practices were introduced, and these are things that we really have to consider as a professional balloon artist.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense to us because you know what, we don't want extra rules. So I'd rather self-police and be proactive. And then
also, as well as that, you want to have it so that your business is seen to be, proactive.
Yeah,
regarding environmental,
thinking about our impact.
Yeah.
So
you have a responsibility, guys.
That rephrasing to smart balloon practices just really puts the positive spin on why we're doing the California balloon law.
Absolutely. So the first one is never to use foil or metallic ribbon on any helium-filled balloons. So that's latex or foil or bubbles.
Super. Makes sense.
The second one is to separately tie helium-filled foil balloons to a weight or anchor. But I do want to go into a little bit more detail on this. I think the way it's written, people's impression is that you have to physically tie each balloon separately onto the weight.
I've seen many notes.
Or even individually separate to a separate weight
on separate
as well.
weight.
So you end up with
yes.
It's like
yeah, about 15 weights.
Yeah.
What this is all about is that what we don't want to have happen is that if at any point something is cut within a design, that the balloons can release as a cluster or as a grouping. So basically what you can do is you can make your design up with all the balloons in it, take all the ribbons and connect them as one into the weight. So you put them through and tie them as one knot. What that means is if that ribbon is cut, they will just disperse separately. What you shouldn't do is take all the ribbons, knot them together and then tie them to a weight, because by knotting them together, you're then creating a cluster of balloons. And if that is then cut, they will disperse as a grouping.
Yeah, which you can get tangled in power lines or anything.
Exactly. Now, one thing I have seen a mistake of before, and I think we talked about this previously, is that they do that correctly. They tie it onto the weight. It's perfectly done. Then they bring it into the topiary base, and then they wrap that ribbon round.
Yes, and the trouble by doing that, you've actually then made it into a cluster, because if somebody cuts the topiary ball, then they all release together. You know, they go as one, as a grouping with the topiary ball.
Exactly.
So they must slide. Yeah, they must slide the weight with the balloons attached into the topiary ball, but they mustn't connect it in any way.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be able to basically, when we pick it up, take all that weight and just pull through, and the balloons will pass through by themselves. Yeah.
Super. And then lastly...
Okay, so this one again is a little bit confusing, but it's do not tie or connect helium-filled foil balloons to other balloons to create clusters or groups of helium-filled balloons. So what we don't want you to do is connect two foils together using, tape, or maybe making, connections with, for example, a microfoil or foil arch would totally cause a problem. So it's where you don't want to have any connections, nice little add-ons onto a foil that could cause it, cause it to create a cluster.
Exactly, because it's all about getting tangled in things. We don't want that to happen. So the balloons shouldn't be released in the first place, but if they should be accidentally released, they should, pass by everything like power lines, which is the main problem where it comes to in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our California balloon law. Have we got anything else? Yes, we have.
Yes. Speaking about the California balloon law and environmental impacts, we've got a few things here that it's not part of the exam or anything, but it's nice to know. We've got PIBA UK, we've got PIBA Worldwide, which is the Australian version of PIBA. We've got the Balloon Council and Party Safe, which all of these now no longer advocate the release of balloons.
And that's any balloons, latex, foil, or bubbles. It really is something that we should all be thinking about as an industry, that we just cannot afford to, to release balloons. All balloons are litter, regardless of whether they're latex, foil, or bubbles. There is also, just to add to that, there is also a PB USA now as well.
Okay, there we go.
We only had room for 4 on the slide. Sorry.
Sorry, PB USA. But also, Pioneer Europe have released a little flyer about balloons and the environment.
Just before I bring that up, Keith, I believe as well that Party Safe site is very much geared to inform on the general public as well.
It is, because there's a great thing in there, as well as explaining about the fact that there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of misinformation out there about how latex balloons are damaging the environment and things, and just the numbers that they're talking about. The information is just not true. It's very skewed by lots of different facts. But don't just take it from us. Get on there and have a read through, and you'll find out the actual information for yourselves. And it's good, because if you do have a customer that's challenging on an environmental side, if you understand where we stand in the industry and in the environment, then you're better armed to deal with any objections that you might have.
Exactly. We proudly display our PBA certificate in our shop. Really helps with our positive, proactive approach to informing customers how we do business.
Yeah,
yes,
and
going
saying,
back. Sorry, Sue.
No, just going back to Party Safe, I actually found so much good information on there. The information for the professional as well as the consumer. And if you read both, you can really get a good balance of how we can talking to the end consumer, to the customers, and giving them the correct facts and being able to point them in the direction of the Party Safe website as well. Because
exactly,
people they want to know this information, and we can say, look, there is a website. There's some really good information that's very correct and factual, and give them that to follow.
I think you said it well there, Sue, is learning how to express that information to the customer, because sometimes we can have too many facts and it's kind of over bombarding them. We're having the balance of that information to be able to effectively sell it to the customer, that the right balance of information and pointing them in the right direction.
It is. It's handling the objections. It's what it's about.
But before I interrupt you, Keith.
Yeah, that's all right. It's fine. It's good. It's all good info. It's all good info, guys.
So
we have the Pioneer Europe flyer as well. So if you anybody can go to that website and have a little look at it. It's a PDF, but it's also available as care cards and posters that can be purchased if you buy from Pioneer in Europe.
I actually saw this poster last weekend when I was out and about, and I was really impressed to see it on a shop window, and I thought that's really good, because it's really showing customers that we do care as an industry, and that we want our customers to not let go of their balloons, pin it and bin it, all these things. And the more we stand together as an industry and as professionals to share that information, we've got a stronger sort of backing them in terms of that we are pro-environmental and we want to do good things.
Absolutely.
It's customer friendly information that though as well. That poster, it draws the attention. It's got information in there, but it's not, it's not bombarding them with over kind of strong imagery. It's just a very pleasant looking, interesting poster to read.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. I think we've done it again. We've maxed out our part 2.
Yeah.
Are we done? Yeah. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching, and that is the end of part 2. So you're going to have to come back for part 3, where we're going to be talking about the pieces that you guys are going to make, the social expression bouquet and the centerpiece.
Yes, so hopefully we'll be able to bring Sue in again once more.
Yes.
Thank you,
but
Sue.
If anybody's got any, I was going to say, if anybody's got any questions in the meantime regarding anything that we've covered so far, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, and we'll get back to you and cover those issues maybe on the next edition.
Perfect.
Perfect. So until the next time, bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.